On my first day of work at IGN in 2018, I was asked, what's your favorite video game of all time? My answer then is the same as my answer today: Final Fantasy Tactics. When I first played it on the original PlayStation back in the 90s, I was enraptured by the job system, the memorable cast of characters, and a story that offered little in the way of easy answers. Between the PSP re-release with extra content but major performance issues, and the touch-controlled mobile versions, the landscape of 2025 has long been primed for an updated version of this RPG classic that's worthy of the original. Did Square Enix deliver that with the Ivalice Chronicles? With only a few caveats, absolutely.
By divine will unencumbered, by darkness empowered, Shadow Blade, farewell!
Despite all the improvements in the turn-based tactical RPG genre over the last 2.5 decades, the original Tactics is still one of those classics that holds up today. What starts as a fairly focused tale spirals into conspiracies, backstabbing, the evils of a caste society, supernatural threats, and all the other staples you'd expect from a fantasy political drama.
A head on a sword? These swords of Goltanna, lackwits one and all.
Throughout all of that, it keeps main characters Ramza and Delita at the center. It doesn't give you tidy endings, and doesn't shy away from the atrocities that the common people must face when powerful men with armies refuse to set aside their quest for power.
We fought for this kingdom at the peril of our very lives, yet the moment that the war was ended, you turned us out into the streets.
Thankfully, for our sake, all that awful fighting is still really fun to play through, and the flexibility you have with how you want to build your units is immense.
I have you now!
Each of the 20 standard jobs comes with its own set of skills, and once learned, they can all be mixed and matched with other classes. Want a monk that can dual-wield both fists while ignoring the elevation of the terrain so he can jump 30 feet in the air to instantly punch a faraway enemy unit to death? Have at it. Just level the ninja and dragoon classes, and you're good to go.
What if you just want a squad of ninjas?
The act of simply leveling a unit is a joy, because you get instant progression feedback from every action you perform, and can easily assess your progress through the new UI. Since progression occurs with each individual action and not by finishing battles, you can either run through a bunch of different maps, leveling as you go, or spend a long time in one map until you gain just enough experience for the next skill or job.
I've earned this.
That old school grind may not sound fun at first, but having the option to master entire jobs in a single battle, or just earn the requisite experience that you need, gives you constant, concrete goals to achieve as you continue to build your party. And that carrot-on-a-stick feeling of the next job or next spell being within your reach if you do just a little more is essential to enjoying a job system such as this one. Other than Xenoblade Chronicles 3, I honestly can't think of another RPG job system with such satisfying progression pacing. And you will need to progress, as the balance of the back half of the story is truly nutty. We won't show footage of these late game battles because I don't want to spoil anything, but as sword and sandals warfare gives way to instant kill techniques and screen clearing summons from your enemies, you're also given some fantastically broken options in both late game characters and classes. And because many of these late battles only require you to defeat one specific character rather than an entire team in order to win, it further emphasizes the outsized importance a single unit can have towards the end of the story, since you can plan around diving through the enemy team to take out its leader. One character you recruit in the very last stretch of story missions is a one-man wrecking crew, as is fitting with his reputation, but his inclusion is indicative of the wild swings Tactics leans into. You're not forced to use him, but the difficulty is much higher if you don't.
Yeah, why would you? Yeah, I'm definitely not one of those gamers who, I'm going to make the game harder than it has to be. I'm the type of person where I'm going to use every tool that the game allows me to use without hacking the game and exploiting the code in the game to win. And if that ain't good enough for y'all, then right here. Right here, buddy.
In terms of classes, you have the standard fare options such as Knight and Black Mage, which can be powerful on their own, but each character also chooses from jobs that include Geomancer, which use whatever terrain they're standing on as the basis for their long-range attacks, and Arithmetician, which casts any spell you've learned based on multiples of different stats without distinguishing friend from foe. It's crazy stuff that gets pretty broken by the end, but a wrong button press can still wipe out your entire party. It's a small picture of just how volatile these late fights can be. but you really have to earn your way there as the prerequisites for the class are intense. In an attempt to mitigate some of those balance issues, the Ivalice Chronicles now has 3 difficulty options. I played through on the middle difficulty, and it seemed much the same as I remember aside from some tweaks to stats, requirements for learning skills, and even some enemy placements. Having finished that, I'm now more than halfway through a new playthrough on the highest difficulty, and I am enjoying the extra challenge. Hopefully that continues through the last chapter, as that's where most of the balance issues lie.
You fight well.
I'm also
I just love like the improvement that they did to the animations and the sprites and everything in the environments, and like, oh man, this game is so good. Like, I can't wait to play it.
It's deep on my main save file, an optional endgame multi-level dungeon set completely in the dark, with exits hidden on particular squares that's filled with stronger enemies than you'll find throughout the story. The harder encounters are fun, but finding the exits without a guide is honestly kind of a chore, as you can't defeat all the enemies until you found the staircase to the next level. It's truly for the sickos who want to push their parties to the limit, and I can't see casual fans having much fun with it.
Yeah, I'm not. It's not even that I'm a casual fan. I just don't like shit like this. Like, why would I make the game intentionally harder for myself? Like, that's not fun. I'll play games to have fun.
The original tactics did have problems other than the balance.
I like challenge, but primarily I'll play games to have fun.
Issues. It was very poorly localized for one, with stilted dialogue that rendered the complex political landscape unintelligible at times. Much of the depth of its characters was also hidden away in either hard-to-read menus or community guides, and the UI was needlessly clunky and complicated, as was the style at the time, making a lot of vital info a chore to understand. I'm happy to say that nearly every one of these issues has been addressed in the Ivalice Chronicles.
New War.
You can't say this is an exhaustively complete version because none of the extra content found in the War of the Lions version on PSP, including the new playable characters, new jobs, or multiplayer mode, are present in the Ivalice Chronicles. But that's okay with me because other than Final Fantasy XII's Balthier, I don't particularly miss anything else from that version. And the original Tactics cameos from another Final Fantasy I won't spoil are still included. Now also with voice acting, which is really cool to hear. The one major thing that's been carried over from the War of the Lions is the vastly improved translation.
I would save Teacher with these hands if such were in my power, but I cannot. 'Tis my meager lot in this life.
Another noticeable improvement is the updated graphical style, which is much higher resolution
Yeah, I was
while
just talking
preserving
about
the
that.
original's retro isometric look.
Right.
I honestly didn't like it at first glance because I thought it almost looked
you
like
tripping.
a smoothing filter over an emulated retro game, but when I actually played it, I found that there's almost a canvas-like quality to the texture of the screen as your
Right.
voice
There's
over
fidelity. There's fidelity there.
and the new tilt-shift focus adds to the illusion that you're playing with miniatures.
You may not see the world beyond your high walls, but that does not mean they mark its boundaries.
If the new look is too heretical for purists, hey, I get it. The original version of Final Fantasy Tactics is also included with the
Why would
Ivalice
I do that?
Chronicles. But you have to load into a
It's
different
good to have
game
the option,
completely,
but why would I
and
do
you
that?
can't even transfer save files between the two versions. I can respect the choice to stick with the classic version, especially now that it has the improved translation, but know that doing so means you'll also miss out on the best parts of this updated version. The new features and voice acting.
Kill them here, and you'll have played
I'm
into
pretty sure that this game has a super hardcore community that has already made this version of the game, like the original game, with the smoothed out textures and improved translations. So I wouldn't even bother doing that. I would just look for that. Or if I'm really that hardcore that I wanted to play that over the new version, I would have already had it and played through it. I don't know.
Duke Goltanna's hands.
I guess it's good to have
We
though.
need
Whatever.
only put them to rout.
I know quality of life improvements aren't usually the sexy part of a review, but the myriad changes in the Ivalice Chronicles add up to much, much more than the sum of their parts. Dozens of changes, big and small, have sanded down many rough edges and made this feel like a comparatively modern game. A completely retooled interface fits modern TVs and places vital information up front, such as that dynamic interactable turn order list on the left side of the screen, the current job points of your character's class so you can keep an eye on your progression, and optional life bars and names you can toggle on and off with the press of a button. There are quick options to retry a battle instantly, or to retool your party before jumping back in, or to load a save straight from the pause menu. And that also takes some of the sting out of those tough battles. And when deploying your soldiers for battle, you do so on the actual battle map, not just a floating liminal space. You can even fast forward, which is an almost necessary feature when revisiting retro RPGs through a modern lens. A lot of these features were available in the original version, but only if you knew where they were hidden in the archaic menus and behind odd button presses, or by quitting and reloading. When you add up the time and headache saved over a campaign that lasts for dozens of hours, these changes make a huge difference.
Yeah, this is a long game, if you didn't know.
All of these battle alterations feel methodical and deliberate, as if the developers cleaned the cobwebs out of a dusty old garage so you can appreciate the gorgeous, shiny car sitting inside of it.
If only I was stronger.
Equal
But
care
you're
has
not.
been given outside of battles. Quick guides for jobs that tell you what attribute damage scales off of and recommended skills to learn, a one sheet of abilities that's available at a glance, a job tree that shows you the requirements of your next unlock, the list goes on. You can even bypass random encounters completely. They've really smoothed out the wrinkles without changing what made the original special.
They go to voice acting.
Another new addition that would be hard to imagine going without is full voice acting, and not just for story moments. Battle cries,
By heaven's will upon heart etched, let minds impure be cleansed. Divine ruination!
Talk your
small
shit.
remarks during actions,
How to proceed?
and even pleas to humanity as you dismiss a unit.
Yeah, that was definitely Clive. That was definitely Ben. What is his name? Ben Starr. That was definitely Clive. I know that. I know that voice anywhere.
I'll be more useful from now on, I swear.
Are expressed with almost universally excellent performances. Common robbers and peasants will speak in a working-class Cockney accent.
Little moppets, is it? Our luck's turned for the better.
The nobles with florid flair,
It is the way of young men to be impetuous in their haste to do great things.
and mid-battle anger and anguish comes across much more clearly than before when it was just text.
I mustn't fall. Our struggle is not yet won.
One example of voice work elevating a party member is Rafa, a character I'd never really cared much for previously.
Feed us he did, Marak. But we were sapped on lies.
Despite her story always being a tragic one, hearing the pain and anger in her voice, as well as her accent being so different from everyone else's, rounded out her character much more this time around.
Opened his heart, you say? The man is not possessed of one. He murdered our parents. It is you who needs to open your eyes, Marak.
Also, there are just some world-class insults in here, and it's really fun to hear them out loud.
You've been less than we from the moment your base-born father fell upon your mother in whatever gutter saw you sired.
Oh,
One thing of note is that often the tone in the
Talking
Japanese
big
language
shit.
track is very different than the English one. What can seem like intense anger in the former can be an appeal to reason in the latter. They both work, but if you want emotions constantly ratcheted up a notch, Japanese is the way to go.
Have you lost your wits?
All the new context in these relationships still doesn't mean they're easy to keep track of, however. The story involves several complicated power structures during a civil war, and so many people are double-crossing each other all the time. Fortunately, much like the active time lore feature of Final Fantasy XVI, the
You got the
Ivalice
lore,
Chronicles
yeah.
includes a fully interactive timeline called
Yeah.
State of the Realm that shows you all the big movers and shakers as you continue through the story.
I feel like that's the best thing they could have did, like, to Final Fantasy games. Just add this, like, real time, storytelling, this lore keeping. And even in 16, they had a character that you could go to where she would break down the lore to you if you needed her to. And like you can go and look through everything, and that was dope. I feel like when you have games this long with this intricate stories, with these complicated stories, you need modes like this.
And the layout for the mini biographies, tips,
Well,
and
features, not modes. This is a feature because y'all get in these comments and go berserk over the smallest mistake somebody would make when they in the video. Well, actually, head ass.
important terms is now much easier to navigate. There's also a long side quest chain in the final chapter that's notoriously hard to follow without a guide, but its reputation will have to change now that it has quest markers pointing you to new and important destinations. You still have to get through the tough battles, but it's just another example of getting you to the fun that was already there.
Here we go. I'm spelling the
Next time I
9.
come back to replay my all-time favorite video game, Final Fantasy Tactics: The Ivalice Chronicles is the version I'll be reaching for.
Of course.
Its fantastic story of
Definitive.
intrigue and betrayal, mixed with one of the most satisfying RPG job systems around, have endured the test of time. While it can't quite be called a complete or definitive edition due to not including all content from all versions, and it hasn't quite done enough to address the endgame imbalances of the original, sometimes less is more. Stripping away the cruft while surfacing what made Final Fantasy Tactics
so you can still call it
through
definitive.
Smart UI tweaks, convenience features, and excellent new voice acting brings it almost completely up to date.
We must rescue their captive. To do less would be unbecoming of men of the Order.
It reminded me of why it was so amazing in the first place, and allows me to confidently recommend it to newcomers without making excuses for the original's
I've been doing these reacts for years now.
For more, I know what score they're gonna give. Reviews of Silent Hill F and Dying Light the Beast. And for everything else, stick with IGN.
I already know how they gonna play it. I usually know how they gonna play it based off how they talk throughout the beginning. They usually give like a little context clues in the beginning before the video even starts. Yeah, Final Fantasy Tactics, the Ivalice, however you pronounce it, Chronicles. It is to me, what it looks like so far from what I've seen from gameplay and from this review, the definitive edition of a classic Final Fantasy game. I remember playing this game on the Game Boy SP back in the day. They've added voice acting. They've upped the textures. They fixed the bugs that were in this PSP version. They don't have the included extra content from the PSP version, but I don't think that it's an indictment on the game. I think it's fine. Like so far, I can't wait to play it. I haven't even played it yet, and I'm defending it and speaking up about it. That's how you know. Like this is one of my favorite games growing up. I can't wait to play it. We're gonna check it out and definitely throw some gameplay up on the channel. But y'all let me know what y'all think down in the comments. All right, so you already know the vibes. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. It's your boy JusticeXFalls, and me out. One.